Hello everyone, I'm Free to Play Games, your one-stop shop for reviews on underground games you can play on a budget. If you want to see more reviews like this, or if you enjoy my content, don't forget to, subscribe. I also stream every Tuesday and Friday. If you'd like to come check it out, link will be in the description below. Today we're going to be reviewing Eternal Home Floristry, a free game that you can find on itch.io. For this review and every review in the future, we'll be measuring a game's worth based off of 5 categories. Those 5 categories are gameplay, story, audio, art and graphics, and replayability. Before we dive into what this game is, I just want to say that this storyline is amazing. They are able to put so much character growth within the first 3 minutes of the game before you even start playing. They're able to articulate this post-apocalyptic world that these two characters are living in, where there are no flowers outside of this shop that Sebastian owns, the older gentleman sitting in the corner with the blue shirt. There are only 2 other characters besides for Sebastian in the whole game that you physically see. The other one being Gordon. He's the one smoking a cigarette and is missing an arm. You really get to understand these characters and see where they're coming from without knowing anything about the world that they live in. I don't want to give too much away about the storyline. I still want y'all to be able to go out and play this game for yourself and find the different endings that you can get because, yes, there are multiple endings to this game. So I'm going to move on to graphics. Because, oh my, they are good. And just so you know, I'm keeping into account that this game was made in 72 hours. But for a free game that's 15 minutes long, the graphics are amazing. I know it is just the bare minimum. It's just a simple outline of a room with some flowers with some people standing in it, but it's beautiful. Before we hop into gameplay, I'm just going to do a quick segment about audio. The music is very soothing. It has a nice mixture between this serene background instrumental, and then later on in the game it builds up into this more kind of like techno, fun little beats that play in the background, which I think is a really cool touch. Although there is no voice acting in the game, the developers made it to where each character's dialogue has its own sound. And it's really, really cool. I'll turn up the sound here so you can hear it. That little effect added so much depth to the game. I think it was a beautiful touch. We've touched on story, graphics and art, and audio, and I feel like now it's time to jump into the actual gameplay. The actual part that you play in this game is pretty simple. You just make flower arrangements based off of what each flower represents, and it changes the outcome of the story. I enjoy the gameplay aspect of this because I like flowers and I like flower arrangements, but I think this is the weakest part of the game. Seeing as it is a video game, there isn't much gameplay to it. Yes, you can pick your path and you have different endings, but it's not necessarily like your stereotypical point-and-click game or your shooter game. It's just a simple choice that you make, which is understandable. The game was made in 72 hours, which I feel like I need to continue to point out because this is amazing for 72 hours. There's no way in the world that I could make a game like this in 72 hours, so kudos to the developers. Making the bouquet is simple. You can pick 3 out of 5 flowers every time you make a bouquet, and I think you can make a bouquet like 3 or 4 times in the game. Each different flower represents something different. I'm not going to tell you what they represent because I want that to be a surprise for when you go and play the game, because honestly, it is definitely worth a playthrough. I know all I've been talking about is how wonderful this game is, but I do want to point out some cons. I feel like the story is lacking in some parts. There's a lot of vagueness to it, which can be enticing, but also it leaves the player with a sense of there just should have been more. And I understand, this game was made in 72 hours, and I'm sorry that I'm bringing it up again, but there's only so much you can do in that amount of time. And I know there's game jams and people have done more in that amount of time, but I'm not gonna shit on a developer because they didn't make a fantastic Detroit Become Human game within 72 hours. This is really, really good. But would it hold up in court? Hold up. I bet you're wondering, what is this person talking about? Would this game hold up in court? It's a game, not a person. Well, I wanted to try this segment where I put a video game in court and see if it can testify that it's not a shitty game. I personally have a lot of faith in this game, but I guess we're just gonna have to see what the jury says.
Court is now in session.
Today the people of the jury will decide if Eternal Home Floristry is a good game or not. First we will allow the defendant to plead their case.
I have a wildly in-depth storyline that captures my audience. I have outstanding sound design, and beautiful graphics.
Although that may be true, your gameplay, or lack thereof, wasn't anything special.
I was made in 72 hours.
But what about
72 hours?
Thank you so much for watching. This was my first time doing something like this. If you think it worked, let me know in the comments. And if you liked what I did, don't forget to subscribe. I also stream every Tuesday and Friday on Twitch. If you want to go check that out, link will be in the description. I'm going to leave you with one last question. Do you, the jury, think that Eternal Home Floristry is a good game? Go check it out. Link will be in the description below. Let me know if it's good. Or if it's terrible, tell me why. I know I've already said it a bunch, but thank you again for watching. Have a nice day.